What's up, everyone? I'm here to give you my review of Game of Thrones Season 4. I didn't originally start watching Game of Thrones or when it first came out. I kept hearing a lot about it, but I never bothered to watch it because I just never felt like it. I saw other TV shows at the time, but I kept hearing a lot about it. And as a year went by, I was like, I'm really going to have to watch this, but I still couldn't be bothered. And then after a little bit more time, I was talking to my cousin. I said, man, try to watch Game of Thrones. I'm hearing a lot about it. Turns out he did. And not only that, he had the 2 seasons. And I was like, wait, you have the first 2 seasons? And I was like, well, we should watch them sometime. And my cousin was like, fair enough. And that day we had nothing to do, so we literally watched roughly nearly the entire first season in one day. And from the first episode, I was hooked. I loved the show. It was so awesome. It was like Lord of the Rings, but more grittier and more political talk. And it was awesome. And as the seasons went by, I loved them. And when I watched season 2, I thought it just got cooler because Tyrion became a more prominent figure. He became more of the main character since the tragedy what happened to Ned in the first season. I feel like Tyrion moved into being there isn't really a main character in Game of Thrones, but if I had to pick one now, I think it'd be Tyrion. And he just got so badass in season 2. But the thing is, after the first 2 seasons, when I watched season 3, I felt like it kind of wasn't as good as the first 2. It wasn't bad, but at the same time, I don't think it was nearly as good as the first 2 were. And I just felt it was good, but I felt like it wasn't kept gripping me as it used to. And coming into season 4, I was like, okay, will this regain my confidence in Game of Thrones, or will it be like season 3, kind of half and half? And I'm happy to say, this is actually probably the best season yet. I knew this season was going to be good when in the second episode, Joffrey died. If you didn't watch Game of Thrones, sorry, but this is spoilers. But Joffrey died in the second episode. I was expecting him to die at some point, but in the second episode, after I was like, what else can this season possibly throw at me that can top Joffrey? Little did I know what this season had in store. And with that being said, let's begin. Mainly, there are 6 points I want to cover. Okay, I feel these are the 6 best moments from season 4, and it really shows how good this season was. The first point is what I've mentioned, Joffrey. The Purple Wedding was amazing. The build-up was so good, and you just felt like things were getting more tense and tense. And I had a feeling something was going to happen, but I wasn't sure quite what. And then when Joffrey started choking, I was like, wait. He started coughing, I was like, wait, is something going on, or is that just a cough? Then he coughed again, I was like, oh shit, this is it. After 3 seasons of listening to this douchebag where he's finally going to die. And it's probably one of the weirdest moments for most people, because essentially everyone was cheering and full of joy seeing a kid choking to death. Which all credit has to go out to Jack Gleeson for playing such an awesome character in Joffrey, making us hate him so much. But I felt very strange. I was cheering, like, yes! Fuck you, Joffrey! It's about time you got it. But at the same time, I was like, I'm basically just watching a kid choking to death. This is very disturbing. But the character was so hateable that you couldn't help but cheer. And that after that episode, that just set the bar for what this season had in store. And my God, the season didn't disappoint. I'm going to skip one of the points. I'm going to leave it to last because I feel like it's the best part of the season, the best moment by far. I think of arguably all of the Game of Thrones series so far. Moving on. I want to make a quick mention. This is not one of the moments, but Littlefinger and Sansa, their development this season was really interesting. I got very interested in their story, and Sansa is finally starting to develop. And at the last scene where we see Sansa all dressed in black, I was like, oh yeah, now we're getting somewhere. Sansa is starting to actually do something, and I think he's going to turn to like maybe a mini Littlefinger, like his apprentice, and I'm very interested to see that goes, because I like Sansa. Don't get me wrong, she was one of the most annoying characters in the show for a while, but it seems like under the guidance of the awesome Littlefinger, she might actually start doing something. Now, moving on back to the points. My next point is, I believe, Oberyn's death. Now, I loved Oberyn. Arguably, he was definitely the best new character introduced in this season, if not the only new one. And I really liked him. Like, I loved Ned in the first season, but when he died, I went to Tyrion. But Obviously, Tyrion didn't die this season, but if he did, I honestly felt like Oberyn could have been the next guy. Like the guy who's not really the main character, but everyone sees him as, because he was just so entertaining to watch, and I really enjoyed him. Sadly, his death was it was both awesome and disturbing. It was one of the most gruesome deaths maybe the most gruesome I've ever witnessed in my life, in TV or even movies. But at the same time, it was so awesome because they actually went through the whole thing. Normally, they wouldn't go to that depth of detail and how gruesome it was, but it really left an impression on you because it's very hard to forget that image out of your head after you watch it. And I was so sad. I was like, no, but I knew it was coming because when he started cheering, when he started acting cocky, when the mountain was down, I was like, this is Game of Thrones. This is going to backfire on Oberyn. And sadly, it did. But saying that, I really enjoyed his character and I'm very sad he's gone. But I've heard that his family are supposed to be awesome, particularly his 3 daughters. And they're going to be in the next season, which I'm very excited for because House Martell. Now moving on to the War of the Wall. This has pretty much been building up for most of season 3, and it did not disappoint. This was an extremely entertaining episode. Yeah, it was just based on the wall, and I'm going to be honest, it's not. Jon Snow he is one of my favourite characters, but his story bores the shit out of me. I mean, I do like some parts, but I feel like alright, everything at King's Landing is awesome. No one denies that. Everyone's entertained. Daenerys, it started off awesome, but kind of went downhill after a while. Jon, it's like polarizing. It's like sometimes, then other times it's boring as shit, but then it's awesome other times, and it's very mixed. And Bran, don't even get me started with Bran. I like where it's going now, but my God, it's one of the most boring things I've ever witnessed. But moving on back to Jon, this episode was amazing, and it reminded me so much of Helm's Deep from Lord of the Rings, the Two Towers. Sorry, and it was just so good, and I really enjoyed the cinematography, the battles, and Jon Snow was awesome in this episode. It really got me to really start getting more gripped into his character again. And the death of Ygritte was so lousy. It was so tragic, but let's be honest with ourselves, we knew it was coming because Ygritte wasn't going to kill Jon Snow. Jon Snow was not going to kill Ygritte. And let's be honest, between Ygritte and Jon Snow, who do you think, what character do you think is going to be the most important one to live? Yeah, it's going to be Jon Snow. But otherwise, it was lousy. But it was, again, great episode. And now moving on to the finale. This is arguably the best finale in all of Game of Thrones. And I just want to say, Tywin. Tywin's dead. At first, I was sad, but already he needed to go. But he was arguably my favourite character since pretty much he first got introduced to Game of Thrones. I loved him. I loved how badass he was. He was the only Lannister I was like, besides Tyrion, I was like, yeah, go on Tywin. He knew what he was doing. He wasn't just some cocky, arrogant deuce. He actually had a plan. He knew what he was up against, and he was probably unbeatable in war strategy. He was really clever at what he did, despite how despicable they were, like the Red Wedding. But when he died, I felt so sad. I was like, no, such a great character is gone. But it was so satisfying that Tyrion finally got revenge and all the stuff he put his father through. And I really love Tywin. I'm sad to see him go, but what can you do? He had to go, honestly. After all the shit he did, especially this season, Tyrion, he had to go. And then the fight between Brienne and Hound. Now this was a fight to remember. This is actually the best fight besides Oberyn versus the Mountain in this entire season. Brienne kicked so much ass. I really love watching Brienne kick the shit out of the Hound. And the thing is, Hound was probably my second or third favourite character in the show. So, in one season, Tywin died and Hound died. Two of my favourite characters in the same episode. But I honestly, I don't think Hound's dead. Side note, I understand why Arya left him there, but I have this grudge against Arya for what she did. She couldn't just kill him. I know she wanted to make him suffer, but it just seems so, like, I just think it kind of hurts Arya's character a little, but we'll see where that goes. But I really loved Hound, and I don't think he's dead. Because I don't think the Mountain's dead either. Because I've been saying, in the books, they both die pretty much in this season, but if honestly, they're in a TV show, you need something more action, you need something more exciting, and if the mountain or hound is going to die, they have to die at the hands of each other. There has to be a fight between hound and the mountain. It'll be an epic fight, and I really hope it happens. But saying that, the fight was awesome. Really loved it, and it's all that Brienne can handle herself well. She is badass. And now moving on to the final point, and arguably my favourite scene of the entire season. Tyrion's trial, the speech, when he said, "I should have left you all to die, I should have Stannis burn all of you." It was one of the most epic, chill-inducing speeches I have ever heard in my life, and it was so badass. Tyrion, he better win the Emmy for that speech. I was just so happy when I heard it, because he was so badass, and you just felt every word he meant it. And Tywin's face at the end was priceless. He was like, "How dare," it's like he was saying, "How dare you go up against me?" It was so, I could not go. You just look it up on YouTube, and it is one of the most badass speeches you'll ever hear. I really loved it, and it was definitely my favourite scene by far this season, and probably from Game of Thrones since it began. I really loved the scene. Well, I think that basically at the end of this video, Game of Thrones Season 4 was the best season by far. Full of action. You have to watch it, and I cannot wait for next season. Game of Thrones has got me back to really hyped up for it, and I can't wait to see where it goes. Thank you for listening. As always, if you like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time.